of the witness so that the witness can be handed over now to the defense teams to cross-examine her. And that's where a lot of fireworks was expected, quite some action in the courtroom. But unfortunately, now we'll not be able to get all that. And of course, the Kenyan delegation that is here, members of parliament, that is senators and members of the National Assembly here, have been disappointed. In fact, a section of them were even saying that they want to hold some peaceful demonstrations to protest against that decision by the trial chamber. But of course, a section of them who are versed on legal matters have advised them against doing that, because the argument is that they will reflect badly in the face of the trial chamber, and of course they will also not give a very good picture of the Kenyan delegation here, and also could have some repercussions to the two accused, that is Deputy President William Ruto and Joshua Arap Sang. And so that idea of holding a demonstration has been shelved, but the members of parliament are saying they will, at the end of the session, issue a statement just to express their displeasure with that decision. And of course they are saying they will have nothing to do here, because what they came here to do was to follow the proceedings. But all the same, they are insisting that they will still remain at the public gallery just to show solidarity or to stand in solidarity with Ruto and Sang. So of course you can expect that they are quite disappointed, because they traveled all the way to follow these proceedings. Unfortunately, they will not be able to do that. And of course, there are also some Kenyans who stay here at The Hague and the neighboring cities here in Holland. Some of them who commute to come and follow the proceedings. Of course, they're saying they are disappointed, because they were expecting to hear what will be transpiring. But a decision has also been made by the trial chamber, Mwakazi, that the transcripts of the proceedings or the testimony of the witness will be availed, but at a later stage. That could be at the end of her testimony, or even at the end of the trial. So it remains unclear when those transcripts will be released. But for now, you and I and all our viewers and all those keen on following these proceedings here at the International Criminal Court will have to wait until prosecution witness number 536 concludes her testimony, so that we can be able now to see what will be transpiring. And you never know, probably the prosecution will follow this trend and ask that all the proceedings be held in camera, if that is what it will take to protect the identity of the witnesses. But of course, that will have repercussions back home, because many people probably will want to express displeasure or disappointment with that decision, because they are keen on following the proceedings here at The Hague. Mokazi.
All right, many thanks indeed. What can we do? Just like you said, choices of consequences. Many thanks indeed, Francis Gashuri, for that update. Well, it is very clear we won't be having the proceedings until the end of the testimony by the prosecution witness 536. All right, so let's move on to another thing, of course, still focusing on ICC. Presiding Judge Gile Eboe Osuji in the ICC case against Deputy President William Ruto and journalist Joshua Arap Sang has directed that the remaining part of the first prosecutor's witness testimony will be held in closed door. The ICC trial chamber's directive means that even the cross-examination of witness 536 by the defense, the victim's lawyer and the judges will be held in camera. This follows numerous attempts to reveal her identity despite her protected status.
The thrust of the allegations against my client should be publicly heard, because we are intending, it's very important to us, that we want to publicly expose the lies in this case. And that should not be hidden between these four walls of this courtroom. That is something that the people of Kenya and the international community and those that have come thousands of miles, including the family of William Ruto, have a right to hear. And that's why, Your Honours, I do submit that the proportionate restrictions are already in place, namely the video, facial distortion, voice distortion, and pseudonym. But we have no intention, with the greatest of respect, of confronting and exposing this witness behind closed doors. I think the world and the public, as well as Your Honours, have a right to hear some of the lies in this case against William Ruto.
The court should be alive to the issues we've always raised, that the witnesses are lying, And it is possible that the motivation for seeking that these proceedings be conducted in a closed session is so that the lies that they are alleging cannot be heard by the wider public. And we would pray that the allegations, which are wild and are a fantasy, should not be given the window that they are seeking.
In this particular case, the witness is also a victim. And it does appear to me, and it did appear to me yesterday when I visited her after the afternoon session, that indeed her psychological well-being, and that definitely has an impact on the manner in which she would testify, will be very seriously impacted by the kind of measures that she gets. So for those reasons, I would want to associate myself with my learned colleague, Mr. Steinberg, and ask for appropriate measures.
Chamber renders this oral ruling. It was brought to the Chamber's attention yesterday that an attempt was made to reveal the identity of witness 536, a protected witness. That resulted in the interruption of the evidence of the witness yesterday. The Chamber appreciates that after having been fully informed of what had occurred, the witness has now indicated her resolve.
All right, so there you have it. Let's now move on to other stories. The Cord Coalition has now filed a notice of motion proposing to amend the VAT Act and is expected to be debated within the next 2 weeks. MPs in the Cord Coalition want several sections of the Act amended to remove certain essential goods from the VAT bracket. Among the goods they seek tax exemption include milk, some agricultural import, and of course electricity. Cord also seeks the Speaker of the National Assembly to allow the debate on the amendments, with the law providing for amendments on any act to be effected 6 months after an act is passed. The VAT Act was passed only 2 months ago.
Basically, it's supposed to address the needs of the poor with regards to the cost of essential commodities. Otherwise, with those very many remarks, I want to just add again that this list is not exhaustive. Because now it is going to be a bill, we hope that the Parliament is going to move with speed to prioritize it so that it is debated in under 2 weeks. And during that time, even other consumer bodies, lobby groups can express interest in areas where they think members of Parliament need to add more items to this.
This bill is intended to trigger further public debate on this matter. The list is not exhaustive, and so we will be expecting that honourable members in the House can bring forth any other item that could be included on this list.
Yeah.
And it has to be reasonable, it has to be sensible, because this bill also should not serve to encumber the government operations and the responsibility that government has also to collect revenue. That should be made very clear.
All right, they are at it again. Freedom of the press was once again on trial today in the National Assembly. Journalists who had gone to cover a press conference were denied access to Parliament buildings by security officers who claimed to be acting on a directive from the clerk of the National Assembly, Justin Bundi. Now, the press conference had to be conducted outside the precincts of Parliament when efforts by the conveners failed to yield fruit.
We arrived at the entrance of the National Assembly shortly before 9 a.m. to cover a press conference by Cord members of Parliament, which was meant to kick off at 9 this morning, only to be blocked by security personnel who said they had orders not to allow any journalist into Parliament buildings.
They should not be in the media center.
We They are blocked from the media center.
The officers made it clear to us that the clerk of the National Assembly, Justin Bundi, had directed that the press should only be allowed in at 2 p.m. this afternoon and should be escorted straight to the press gallery in the main chambers. This meant that the media center was out of bound, and not even the intervention of MP Sababu Namwamba and John Mbadi, who were the conveners of the press conference, could help matters. Diplomacy failed, and we had to conduct the press conference from outside the building. But first,
the work of the media, freedom of the press, freedom of information, is constitutional. It's a constitutional entitlement. It's not a favor. So for the media to come to the National Assembly, it's not a favor that the National Assembly is doing the media. It's not a favor the National Assembly is doing the public. It is a constitutional right. It's a constitutional entitlement.
It's only the Speaker who can suspend the access of Parliament by media, but that must be communicated only through communication from the chair. So the Speaker can only act when he's in Parliament and during plenary and explain why some action is being taken against the media.
As things stand at the moment, the media center remains closed to the press. Members of the press can only access committee rooms and the press gallery in the chambers, a squeezed section within the chambers that has no facilities necessary for press work. Justin Bundi claims that there is no space to host media within the Parliament building. Kendagor, Obadia Citizen, at 1.
Now, legislative functions of devolved governments face imminent paralysis if members of county assemblies across the country make good their threat to spend, or rather suspend, their sittings as they seek higher pay. The move will also see the passing of crucial bills in the county assemblies take a back seat, as Jackie Maribe now reports.
Members of county assemblies across all 47 counties have become the latest addition to the threat to down their tools in demand for increased pay perks. Their demands indicate a pay system parallel to that of national government. Just as MPs get 43% of the president's pay and the speaker gets 80%, they want a reflection of the same at county level. They want their pay to translate to 43% of their governor's pay and county speakers to receive 80% of the same. Currently, members of county assemblies get 12% of their governor's pay and the speaker 35%. Should they make good the threats and down their tools today, the implications would see a paralysis in the legislative functions of counties. Crucial bills will also bear the brunt as they take a back seat, with particular concern on the passage of the finance bill, as only 2 of the 47 counties have so far passed it. The trickle-down effect would mean proposed taxes cannot be collected until this bill is passed per county, setting the stage for turbulent financial times ahead should the strike go on for long. This will be the second time the county representatives are going on strike since their election in March 4th. Jackie Maribe, Citizen at 1.
All right, in a bid to make it absolutely interactive, we're asking you this particular feedback question. Are county assemblies justified in adjourning sessions to push for higher pay? Are county assemblies justified in adjourning sessions to push for higher pay? You can send in your comments to 22422. That's 22422. Of course, include your name and location and a statement or two after your yes or no response, and we'll be glad to sample some of them during this particular bulletin. In the meantime, let's move on to another story here. Confusion gripped employees of the former Ministry of Home Affairs, who this morning were blocked from entering their Jogoo House Block A offices, allegedly on orders from the Inspector General of Police, David Kimayu. Kimayu, whose office was moved from Vigilance House, is said to be basing his order on a July letter written by Secretary to the Cabinet, Francis Kimemia, addressed to civil servants operating from the offices to vacate in order to pave way for the Inspector General of Police and his team. However, according to employees of the former Home Affairs Ministry, they have not been told where to relocate to.
The The gates to offices in Jogoo House remained locked, and anyone entering the compound had to show their official badge. The officers manning the gates had strict instructions not to let in employees of the former Home Affairs Ministry. The offices had since been occupied by those working under the Inspector General of Police David Kimayo, who on orders of the Secretary to Cabinet Francis Kimemia had been moved from his vigilance office to occupy Jogoo House Block A.
Sasa IG naye pia akona watu wake ambao wanataka kufanya kazi, ambao lazima wafanye kazi. Hatuwezi kuwazungumzia mengi, lakini tuelewe ya kwamba kuna watu wanataka kufanya kazi hapa. Hawajaweza kuingia ndani ya ofisi zao mpaka sasa.
The stranded workers maintained they had not received any orders to move out nor given instructions on where to move to, with a signpost already erected outside indicating the office of the Inspector General of Police David Kimayo as the occupant of the building.
And now you wake up one morning and you find that employees of a ministry are locked outside, are stranded outside. The obvious question they have to ask is, can the government evict itself?
In the letter addressed to some 600 workers occupying Jogoo House A, which was formerly headquarters of the Office of the Vice President and Ministry of Home Affairs, Kimemia ordered them to vacate in order to give room to the IG and his staff, who all had been operating from Vigilance House.
I want to ask, where from did he derive the powers, from what law, to be able to evict, members of the national government from a building and basically leave them displaced because they've not been guided as to where to go.
For now, the civil servants remain stranded outside Jogoo House A. Esther Kahumbi, Citizen at 1.
All right, former Naivasha MP John Mutudho, who is the architect of the Alcoholic Drinks Control Act, famously referred to as the Mutudho Law, has formally taken up office at the National Authority for Campaign Against Alcohol and Drug Abuse as a chairman. That is Naqada chairman. Addressing the media at the Naqada offices in Nairobi, Mutudho said he would take stern action against those flouting the Mutudho law. He pointed a finger of blame at the police for allegedly failing to implement the Mutudho law. Mutudho has pledged to issue a statement in the next 10 days on whether Miraa and Mogoka should be classified as drugs. Mutudho takes over Naqada at a time when President Uhuru Kenyatta has vowed to step up the government's fight against alcohol and drug abuse.
I saw on Gong Road alone, Gong Road, they were drinking as if there are no laws. 11 o'clock, and there are so many drunk people in one of the big hotels along the Gong Road. I saw it at Koinange Street just last week. This morning at around Mirangine in Nyandarua, the same story. Around Muchadha Turi in Imolo, the same story. All over. Just follow Mutudho laws. Follow Mutudho laws as written today, or go to Parliament and repeal them, all face consequences according to Mutudho laws.
All right. Now, over 10 primary schools in Oljoro Orok constituency, Nyandarua County, are set to benefit from improved sanitation. The program, launched by a Canadian-based foundation called Connecting Countries Adopt a School, seeks to put up modern toilets facilities in the identified schools. Among the schools set to benefit from the project are Wiguano, Riverside, Chakareli, Madaraka, Kirimangai, Equator, Jacaranda, Kanguo, Kibathi and Kirima. According to an associate member of the foundation, Jedida Wanyeki, the organization has already built 120 latrines, which are helping about 3,000 pupils.
It's not just, it is not just that the children will just have toilets, but it is an emergency that the toilets should be good and the toilets should be in a condition that is habitable to the students.
Well, here is an opportunity for you to serve this country. The Kenya Defence Forces has announced that it will be conducting its recruitment exercise starting Monday next week. Addressing the media at the DOD headquarters, Deputy Chief of Defence Forces General Danson Mwadhere said the exercise will be carried out by 16 recruitment teams across the country. He also assured the country that the exercise will be carried out in a free and fair manner, giving a stern warning against those who were keen in engaging in bribery.
The one-month recruitment exercise is set to begin on 30th this month. The exercise will be overseen by Brigadier Peter Magut.
Sylvester Churchill. As you may be aware, we have already done the recruitment of the General Service Officers, the GSOs, and the specialists, the doctors, architects, and the rest. This was after we advertised the same in the media, did the shortlisting of the candidates, did the interview, and now they are ready to start their training in Nakuru.
Addressing the media at the Department of Defense headquarters in Nairobi, the Deputy Chief of the Kenya Defense Forces, General Danson Mwathethe, said the exercise will be conducted by 16 recruitment teams in all the 272 districts in different stations across the country that will be communicated via print and electronic media.
All the unsuccessful candidates will be informed of their shortcomings and why they're being left. This exercise is open to scrutiny by the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commissions, the National Intelligence Service, and other oversight bodies. We also welcome you, the media, to cover and participate in this exercise.
He assured the country that the exercise will be conducted in a free and fair manner and warned against those who are planning to engage in bribery, urging members of the public to report any suspected bribery.
We wish to remind the public that soliciting for a bribe, giving a bribe, or offering a bribe are criminal offenses.
Patrick Njendi, Citizen at 1.
Okay.
All right, so county assemblies across the country have decided, the members have decided it's not going to be business as usual until we get a pay rise. So they've decided to adjourn sessions. So we're asking you this afternoon, are county assemblies justified in adjourning sessions to push for higher pay? Are county assemblies justified in adjourning sessions to push for higher pay? You can send in your comments to 22422, that's 22422. Kindly include your name and location, and of course, after your yes or no answer, please add a statement or two, and we'll sample some of them. Gatimu from KUT says, Mwakazi, I think we elected idlers. I now believe MPs have no work to do, though paid better than doctors. Imagine the effect if it were our doctors who travel to The Hague. It would be terrible. Another person here says, no, not at all. Let them get on with county work and stop this petulant, whining behavior. Enough. That is Janet from Nanyuki. Nixon Dugide from Kindaruma says, yes, the economy is really bad on their side only. They are really suffering because of low pay, much more than the common Mwananchi. Another one says, no, they shouldn't at all. These guys don't have that much work. Let them serve the citizens with the pay they have been offered by the government, or else they resign. And then we have Carol from Nairobi says, if the counties have generated cash to pay for their without composing more one for Mokongu from says, let them resign and we get those who work for, because who suffer, therefore let them be human. All right, thank you so much indeed for your comments. Keep them coming. I'll be sampling some of them immediately, of course, after we wind up with the news bulletin. But right now, let's take a short break. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
More by visiting us online.
All right, welcome back. Time for business. The government has pledged to boost the growth of the coconut subsector by 20% per annum by increasing its budgetary allocation from the current 80 million shillings to 500 million shillings per year. Coconut is the preferred crop for smallholder farmers at the coast, with 82,000 farmers involved in its production. Speaking at the 3rd International Coconut Conference in Mombasa, Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Felix Koskei stated that it is his ministry's agenda to upscale small and medium coconut enterprises and manufacturers into major industry. This is with, of course, the aim of increasing local production of coconut oil to reduce importation of vegetables vegetable oil, which accounted for 835 million shillings worth of imports in 2011. The ministry has set up a research stakeholders network consisting of Kenya Agricultural Research Institute, universities and development partners to support the development of the industry beyond the coast region.
Or plant 1 million seedlings per year. My ministry will ensure that coconut farmers are supplied with early maturing, high-yielding, and disease-tolerant varieties of seedlings.
All right, let's find out how the money market is doing. The central bank's stance over the past few weeks of mopping up liquidity is holding the shillings steady, offsetting greenback demand and, of course, making it relatively more expensive for commercial lenders to hold long dollar positions. This led to the shilling strengthening against the dollar to change hands at 87 shillings and 36 cents buying and 87 shillings and 54 cents selling. On the European front, the shilling weakened against both the sterling pound and euro to trade at 140 shillings and 84 cents and 118 shillings and 22 cents respectively. Regionally, the shilling weakened against the Ugandan shilling to change hands at 29 shillings and 15 cents, but strengthened against the Tanzanian shilling to trade at 18 shillings and 37 cents. That's it for the business news.
Forex Update brought to you by SAP.